What's up, everybody? Welcome to Tsunami Speaks with your host, Tsunami Jones. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, run, and tell a friend if you can so we can grow this channel and beat my guy Jarrell to 100 subscribers and beyond, of course. But that's the little challenge we have going on between each other. Shout out to my guy, though. He's got some great Giants content. So if you're a Giants fan, you can go look at his stuff, maybe subscribe to it. But I'm sure you're here for me today. So that said, let's talk about this Jets Bengals matchup on Sunday. We're going to start things off with the injury reports. We have starting off with the New York Jets here. Pretty much everybody's questionable. Just kidding. It's just a few players. We have a few repeat offenders. Jordan Whitehead is a repeat. He has a calf injury now. George Fant with the knee injury that he's had since training camp. JFM has a toe and a quad injury. Quinnen Williams has a foot injury. CJ Uzama has a hamstring injury. And lastly, Corey Davis has a knee injury. Pretty much everyone practiced in full except for George Fant. He's still limited. Everyone else has been playing. Um, I'm pretty surprised, but not entirely shocked that CJ practiced in full, considering he had a hamstring, and hamstrings normally linger for a while. I'm pretty sure my guys had this game, circled on the calendar, and so he's just gonna play through it. We'll see if he's available next week, but I'm excited to see that he's available. Zach Wilson is out. Not really surprised. We should all have expected that. He practiced every day this week, which is really good news. It was light practicing, 7-on-7. Good to see him. If you've seen any of those workout videos that have been posted on Twitter, he looks pretty good. He looks like the normal, healthy Zach. That's the stuff we want to see. He looks to be in good spirits too in these videos. So I'm really excited. I'm really pumped after seeing what we did last week and just knowing that Zach has all that mobility, is that huge arm. It's going to be fun to see what he's able to do once he comes back. And just to reaffirm with everybody, he's our number one. That's our guy. Let's go, Zach Wilson. That's our franchise player. He needs to play ASAP. Okay. I don't want to roll Flacco out week after week. And that's not any shade to Flacco. Flacco's great, but he's a backup. And he knows that. We all know that. Let's start off the way we need to start off. That said, just one other thing to kind of reiterate. Salah reported he's not worried about anyone not being able to play on Sunday outside of Zach, to the obvious. So that was good news. Cincinnati had some interesting players listed here. Drew Sample is out for the game. That's their backup tight end. He has a knee injury. Jermaine Pratt, their starting linebacker, uh, is doubtful, and he did not practice on Friday. Lyle Collins, their prize acquisition in the free agency class. He did not practice on Friday. He's a back injury. I know I talked about this before. Back injuries, really tough to predict. I've had them, like I think I've mentioned before, it's a family thing. We all have back injuries in the family. They can linger and linger and linger, or some people, they can battle through it. Pain tolerance is a big key there. So we'll see. I'm leaning towards he's probably not going to play, but I don't know. We'll see. Their coach also mentioned that he thinks that he'll play. He's very optimistic. I think that was the term that he used. Hayden Hurst is questionable. He did a limited practice on Friday, and that's their starting tight end. So Hayden Hurst doesn't play. They're down a little bit on tight end. So it'll be interesting to see what they decide to do. Maybe that means more wide receiver sets. That might also mean that they'll have less tight ends to block, and if in case they want to do max protection, considering their offensive line O's, something to consider. Something to consider. Um, so let's just hop on into the keys to the win that I think the Jets must execute. First key is going to be probably the key every week from me, and it shouldn't surprise you guys. It's going to be limit turnovers. The team that stays the cleanest generally wins the game. So I would like us to be clean so we can win the game. Pretty straightforward. Uh, so yeah, last year in our head-to-head matchup, believe it or not, though, we had 3 turnovers and they had 1. Kind of tough to remember that if you don't if you don't know that. So seeing that in the box score actually shocked me. I remember that Mike White threw a pick. I didn't realize he threw multiple. So kind of something to keep in mind there. They had one turnover. So I would like us in this case to improve in this aspect. I would like us to be limited to one turnover and maybe first force one, maybe force a couple on those Bengals there. That's what I would love to see. But ideally, we at least need to limit ourselves to one turnover. That said, big key for me, probably the largest key, is going to be to win the time of possession game. So for perspective, last year we held the ball 36 minutes. They had held the ball 23 minutes and 40 seconds. That's a big disparity. I think that's a big key as to why we won the game. Burrow just wasn't out there enough to kill us. And we all know how good Burrow is. The more chances we give him to kill us, he's going to take those chances. And so the biggest way and the easiest way to possess the ball the most is to run the ball. This is something we are more than capable of doing. We have two great backs and a third back who's all right. He's a good blocker though. We'll give you that, Ty Johnson. But based on discussions this week, it sounds like from our head coach and offense coordinator in interviews, sounds like we're really looking to give Brees more of an opportunity. I mean, in the last game, as in the game against the Browns, he had 7 touches. Well, 7 carries on 50 yards on those carries, and then 1 catch for 10 yards and a touchdown. So it sounded like something good happened damn near every play that we gave him the ball. So if that's the case, we need to give him the ball more. Pretty straightforward. But that's the what I would say, kind of looking at that. Now let's not be silly here. Michael Carter is still going to be heavily involved, as he should be, because he was one of the major reasons that we won that game. He had 95 yards on 9 catches and 77 yards on 15 carries. Not bad, okay? That's a lot of scrimmage yards, and those are those help move the chains. I think that's why Mike White looked as good as he did. It was harder. That said, Mike White played well too. I'm not going to throw too much shade at him, but I'm just saying, team game. Now, I'm not going to say we require a repeat performance from the ground that Michael Carter had, but we're going to need a good game from him and a good game from Brees. I would like us to get at least 120 yards or more on the ground. I think that's a attainable goal between those two backs. But let's see what ends up happening. Another key that I have is continue to stop the run. Last year, in our head-to-head matchup, we held them to 42 yards. That's all Joe Mixon could really do, and Samaje Perine that they have. Um, if they average 80 to 100 yards, or they end up getting that at the end of the game, it's going to be a long day, and it will end up in a tough matchup. One of the reasons the Bengals haven't been performing as well is they haven't been able to move the chains when they need to, and Mixon hasn't really been playing too well. So I imagine they're going to get him more involved this game, but hopefully we can stop him. That's going to be a big major key for us. And this next key is that we need to get to the quarterback. I mean, this isn't shocking information, but it needs to be reaffirmed considering who we're playing against. Joe Burrow has been sacked 13 times coming into this game in 2 weeks. That's insane. I mean, Micah Parsons went off last week, but it wasn't just him. Our defense coming into this game only has 3 sacks. Now, we've played 2 teams that are very run heavy, between Lamar Jackson, his running ability, and then of course the Browns, that's all they do. And if anyone saw that game last night, Chubb had the Steelers for lunch and dinner and dessert. And he still probably didn't get the ball enough. But that's neither here nor there. This is a Jets show. But that said, we're going to get a lot more opportunities to get to Burrow just because they throw the ball so much. So we need to take advantage of these opportunities. We have to get him on the ground. We can't just be around Joe Burrow, especially since he holds the ball as long as he does. So if he's going to hold the ball and our guys are going to be in the vicinity, I need them to bring him down. We need them to bring him down. We need Burrow to be on the ground. We just do, because he will kill us otherwise. The way our safeties have been playing, not I love Jordan Whitehead. He's probably my favorite safety on the team. That said, we need to get him on the ground so our safeties don't have to do this extra work. Because in coverage, it's been long Sundays. So we don't want to deal with that. We know what DJ Reed can do. We know what Sauce Gardner can do. My guys. But let's make it easier on all parties involved and have our defensive line, which should be the strength of this team. We have a lot of money invested into them. I mean, I don't even want to rattle off all our defensive linemen. We have a ton on this team. I need them to show they have it. I'll just talk about our stars right now. It's Quentin Williams. Looking at you, bro. I know you got that injury. I need you to ball out this Sunday, young man. I need it from you. I need you. I need Lawson. You know, I won't go into every player because I do have a couple players I want to watch later and mention to you guys. But those two especially, those are our best players in the defensive end. So we need them to do what they're paid to do. All right. So that said, oh, and my goal, by the way, for this is that I would like them to get 4 sacks in this game. I think if we get 4 sacks in this game, hopefully more, I think that means a lot. Now, 4 sacks isn't easy, but I'm talking about this offensive line that we're going against. All the times we know Burrow is going to be throwing the ball, us knowing he's going to hold on to the ball. All those things involved mean we should get, honestly, at least 3 sacks. I want 4. I want more than that, to be honest with you. But that's what I want us to do. Not an easy task, but one that we should do. And I think this is the team to get those numbers from. Another big key for our defense is we need to defend the screen better. Oh my goodness. This is a major issue for us last year, and then we saw a bit of it last week when they had Hunt and Chubb catching passes out of the backfield and just beautiful little screenplays that they were killing us on. Brissett was throwing them. We have to do better. And then last year, there's so many games I can use as an example of when they just screened us to death. The Patriots screened us to death. We got to defend the screen better, guys. We got to. I'm hoping we use Quan Alexander more and a little bit less of Quincy Williams in this game. Just because Quan is veteran and he's better in coverage anyway. And we're gonna need him. And first of all, he's a beast. But that aside, I think we'll just need him and his abilities. Quincy still, he goes really, really hard, really, really fast. But if he misses that angle, the other player is gone. The running back is gone. And we're gonna need a little more savvy and awareness this Sunday. Just for perspective, looks like he only had 16 snaps in coverage last game. Quan, that is. And I do want to just, bring light to this. Our 3 linebackers did not grade well in coverage via PFF. CJ Mosley had the highest PFF score with 43.3. That's not a good grade. So I need to see more from him. I need to see more from Quan. I need to see more from Quincy. Our linebackers have got to be instrumental in this game as well. This one, I'm going to probably say this every week as well. Offensive line needs to hold up for Flacco. Don't get it twisted, guys. One of the reasons that Flacco looked as good as he did was because our offensive line did a pretty damn good job considering the circumstances of who they were going against with Garrett and Clowney. We held up pretty well. And when Flacco had time to throw, he was decisive, he was quick, and he was accurate. So hopefully our offensive line continues to gain chemistry and keep Flacco clean. Flacco was only sacked twice last week. Again, considering the circumstances with those players, we'll need to have a repeat performance of that. I would like Flacco to be sacked no more than 2 times. I mentioned this last week. I'm going to bring it up again this week. When we played the Bengals last year, we had a ton of offensive creativity. I think because we knew it was a back against the wall game when we played the Bengals. I think we had just lost to the Falcons or the Patriots the week before. It was one of those two. And we looked terrible. And so we knew we needed to win. Of course, there were many other games we needed to win last year, but I'm just saying, I think that LaFleur, pulled out the whole playbook and was like, all right, we got to do this. We got to do this. We got to get Elijah Moore involved. We got to get this guy involved, this guy, Michael Carter, all those things. Okay. Because at that time, Mike White was the only backup we had other than like Johnson. Yeah, we had Johnson on the team too. But we had just when that week happened, I think we just traded for Flacco, but he obviously wasn't ready to play yet. So, all that being said, I want to see that same offensive creativity we had last year, same that we had last week. I already said he did a pretty good job with that. I like the way we were using Braxton Berrios. I like him on those sweeps, those end arounds, all that good stuff. Bring them back. Put the ball in the playmaker's hands. I know Flacco can do that because he did show that. So I want LaFleur to do the same thing one more time. Um, and just add a few more wrinkles. And those are my keys to the game. Keys to the win, that is. All right, so players to watch. For the Jets, I'm gonna say Max Mitchell is gonna be one of the players that I'm gonna watch, and I might have him every week for the first maybe 8 or 9 weeks or so, just because he's still a rookie, and he's the fourth round pick playing offensive line and learning every week and has been thrown into the fire. So, with that said, he played solidly last week. I think this matchup is going to be a little better for him just because Garrett is otherworldly. Trey Hendrickson is still a great player, and he's super underrated as a pass rusher. He had 14 sacks last year. Not bad, right? Did we have anyone that had 14 sacks? No, we did not. We would kill if we had someone like that on our team. Sam Hubbard had 7.5 last year. Also, their other defensive end. I expect Max Mitchell to hold his own, but it's still going to be an interesting matchup, just considering those two players. But I will be paying attention to him and just the offensive line as well. My other player to watch is going to be Elijah Moore. I think he's going to have a big game on Sunday. No guarantees here, but he's due. And if you go rewatch the game against the Browns, Moore was open a lot more than I had realized. There were just several plays there. We just went to Garrett Wilson instead. Garrett Wilson might have been a little bit more open on certain plays than Moore, but think I think it's just time for him. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Bengals overreact to Garrett Wilson's game. Maybe overreact may be a strong word, but just seeing how he feasted on the Browns, they may say, you know what, let's put a Wouzier, their best corner, on him and put Eli Apple against Elijah Moore. I'm just gonna say it. I like Elijah Moore's chances against Eli Apple. Enough said. All right, so next, Brees Hall and Michael Carter. I'm gonna put them as a tandem because essentially they are. Um, can't decide for the life of me who's gonna break out on Sunday. Easily see it being Brees, but I would not be surprised if Michael Carter has another stellar game. He's seen this defense before. He played super admirably last week. I already went over his numbers with you guys. It could be either or. They might split it completely in half. I'm gonna say I think Brees has a long touchdown. And by long I mean 10 yards or more. Maybe like 15, 20 yards, something like that. At least some explosive play and he gets in the end zone. Michael Carter might just catch a touchdown or run one in as a goal line possession, goal line touchdown type deal. I know that's probably saying a lot that I expect to. I just wouldn't be surprised. I think they're gonna score both of them. All right, Lawson and Uzama are my next players. I don't have any stats for you here because I don't need them. We both know, or we all know, that they are former Bengals, and they both they have this game as circled on the calendar. Um, the team did not to pay them the way they thought they should be paid. Uzama especially, Lawson especially. Lawson was very surprised they didn't really offer him anything. So if you're human, you want to go and you want to ball out against them. Come on. And I don't care what I hear in interviews from both of them. Lawson's been very nice and Uzama's been very nice, but they want to win. The Bengals went to the Super Bowl last year. You don't think that they were just feeling some type of way about that? That, damn, I couldn't have brought them to the Super Bowl. I couldn't have been with them. That's human nature, and these are athletes. These are competitive guys, okay? They're gonna do something. I'm not saying they're both gonna, have like 8 touchdowns and a fumble recovery and 5 sacks. I don't predict that, but I think Lawson's gonna play well. I think Uzama's gonna make an instrumental play. I'll say both of them have an instrumental play. Something that jumps off our stat sheet or jumps off the TV, and you're like, "Oh, that's what I thought was gonna happen." I think so. Especially Lawson. Lawson hasn't really boogied on anybody this year. Got a half sack last game. Think he's starting to get more healthy. He's even said that, and Salah's admitted to that. I think the Jets are going to try and put him in a position, excuse me, to succeed. Same with Uzama. They're probably going to call maybe a couple plays that he won't be the one blocking. They'll have him line out there and catch some balls from Flacco. So, my opinion, that's what I'm seeing. I'll be looking at those players. Last players on the Jets. I'm going to make this part one a little bit short. Our safeties, our starting safeties: Jordan Whitehead, Lamarcus Joyner. I'm going to more so harp on Joyner. He has not been holding up well in coverage. Jordan either, but I'm going to be a little bit nicer to Jordan. Joyner has a 29.1 PFF grade overall in coverage, and that doesn't even seem low enough, as bad as that is. I don't know what it is. He didn't play all of last year or a lot of last year, so maybe some of it is rust. He's a little bit of an older player. Maybe that's a part of it. Either way, he just hasn't been putting up he just hasn't been well in coverage. He just hasn't been performing the way we would hope. Jordan Whitehead, to his credit, we mentioned this last week, mentioned it this week. He's got injuries. I mean, he has a calf injury now. He had an ankle last week. So you think about those kind of piling up on him. That's going to limit your mobility. Maybe he hasn't been taking quite as many chances when trying to cover plays. That's my guess. So that's why I'm kind of grading him a little bit on a curve. And the other thing you need to consider with him is they even sold him to us, metaphorically, not figuratively. They sold him as a box safety. So he's not going to be great in coverage. We knew that coming in. Even with the Buccaneers, he wasn't great in coverage. But he has been making some nice plays against the run, which is what we brought him for. But both have to play better. That's the long and the short of it. So that's it on that. As far as the Bengals goes, I just have 3 players that we're looking at here because, again, it's Jets show. I don't want to look at too many Bengals players because why? All right, main player here, Joe Burrow. All eyes are going to be on him this week. There's a lot of attention that's been drawn to his offensive line and then how long he's been holding the ball, resulting in more sacks. The media has kind of been putting some pressure on him, saying that he's been the reason that the offensive line has been looking. So kind of knowing that, hearing that, I'm sure he heard it. I heard in an interview he deleted his Twitter account and his Instagram account. Some people might say, "Oh, he's just doing that to get away from the noise." I'm saying he heard the noise. He heard the noise. I'm not saying that's going to get to him. I'm saying that might light a fire and he might come out swinging in this game. I want to see what he's going to do. I think he has to have a big week for them to win. Is he going to want to make those dink and dunk plays that we will make more available to him? That's what teams have been doing the last couple of weeks. They've been running Tampa too. And so Chase hasn't been able to really boogie on anybody. And so that's been kind of so he's been he's been trying to hold the ball longer and longer to hopefully get Chase or Higgins free. So something to keep in consideration, but I think he's going to play well, unfortunately, on Sunday. Trey Hendrickson, I mentioned him earlier. They're going to need him to have a good game. He actually has had a pretty quiet start to the year. He's had no sacks in those 2 weeks. Remember, I told you he had 14 sacks last year. He hasn't been grading well in PFF, at least against the Cowboys. He had a 55.4. That's pretty bad for him. He played much better week 1. So there's something to that. I'm sure the Cowboys had a very good plan going into the game of how they're going to nullify Trey Hendrickson. But just think about it. The Cowboys had a lot of injuries going into that game last week on the offensive line. A lot of people banged up. So that's why I thought Bengals would win that game and all the other people did too, whatever have you. But I think Hendrickson's gonna play a little bit better this week, just kind of coming off of a game so poor for him. Last one is Jamar Chase. In our head-to-head matchup last year, he actually only had 32 yards on 3 catches and 4 targets. It's tough to know if that was an anomaly or part of their game plan or our game plan. Either way, our cornerback room is much better. It'll either be DJ Reed or Sauce on him. Chase has been off to a slow start this year in general, just kind of based on what I mentioned, the Tampa 2 that they've been kind of covering him with and trying to eliminate him from the field, and they rather have Higgins or Tyler Boyd go off as opposed to Jamar Chase. And I think Higgins was hurt or out week 1. Didn't look that up, but I remember hearing that. So that said, Higgins also is still kind of coming off that injury. He was listed on the injury report, but he's there. There's no designation or any restrictions on him playing on Sunday, which is why I didn't bring it up. So all of that being said, as long as we bracket coverage and we try and keep Jamar Chase out of the game, easier said than done. But if we can mirror what happened the last couple of weeks, I think we'll be in a good spot there. But that said, I would not be surprised if Jamar went off. You can only hold these kind of stars back for so long. All right. Last but not least here, prediction for the game. Jets stole one last week and didn't give up the fights after they got down 13 points. A lot of us were scared. I was scared, all that stuff. I feel like that might have just ignited the team. When a team gets behind by that much and then they win and no one expected them to win, everyone said that the Browns would win going away. Like I looked at all the analysts and what they said. Bulletin board material, right? Doesn't mean that's a guarantee for a W. It has no bearing on that. But I liked Rob Sala's press conference on Monday saying we have to move on. He said that the receipts thing. It doesn't matter right now because we haven't won enough games for receipts to be had and to be taken back and read off. So, and then one of the press conferences I heard from or was an interview I heard from um the special teams ace Justin Hardy. And I've heard other players say it. Conklin said, they are tired of hearing same old Jets. I love that. We as fans are tired of saying it. And I don't think this is the same old Jets. We've been thinking about all this, all the hype or whatever, and the training camp and the preseason. I know some fans are like, I got to see it first. And I understand that 100%. But you can see that there's a different team trying to form. You can see a mentality that's changing. Bringing all this youth in, they're not used to this kind of losing. They're not used to being laughed at. These players are from Ohio State, Bama, LSU, teams that win, Georgia, FSU. FSU, I know wasn't great a couple seasons ago, but I mean, Jermaine Johnson helped bring them back last year. Players like that, pedigree. I think that infusion of youth and just don't know how good you are yet, and then having won a game like that. Maybe I'm being a homer, but I'm feeling pretty good about this game. I'm feeling really good about it. And then we have Uzama and Jordan Whitehead who came from championship teams. Whitehead won with the Bucks. Uzama went to Super Bowl obviously last year with the Bengals. They didn't win, but these are teams that have seen what a devastating loss and then a surprising win can do for you, for your confidence. And they know, hey, we can't BS our way through effort wise. We have to we know what we have to do to win, in other words. And so I think they'll keep this team grounded so the kids don't get too high or too low. Now the Bengals were, embarrassed by our team, by our win last year, and they just saw us against the Browns. They're not going to take us lightly. Okay, they're not. They're coming in wanting to beat our behinds down. They were embarrassed a bit on the media when they lost to us last year. All sorts of jokes. Mike White went to the Hall of Fame because of that game. So all of those chips are there. So these are two teams that are hungry. They're coming off 0-2. We're coming off 1-1. But this is a game for pride for the Jets. Major game. So, and I think both teams will be prepared. All that being said, I think this is going to be a close game. I'm going to go 24 Jets, Bengals 21. That's my prediction. We'll see what ends up happening. It's going to be another close one. But I'm glad that we have a Joe Cool as well as their Joe Cool. Gotta say it, right? All right. Last but not least here, for real last. Some bets I have going in for Sunday. So my potential parlays. I know I said last time I'm not going to parlay too many of these. I'm being better about it, I promise. So I'm going to take the Jets to cover again. The line moved to 6 points. And even though I know that this is a serious game for the Bengals to win or to try to win, I think the game is still going to be closer than 6 points. I just don't see it. So I love the points here. I'm tempted to take the money line because, like I told you guys before, I think we're going to get that W. But I'll err on the side of caution since I lost a little bit of money last week and I'm a little sad about it. So Jets to cover. I'm going to take the Texans plus the points over the Bears. I may be overreacting a little bit here, but the Bears look so bad against the Packers. Packers have a great defense, but the Bears look so bad. Way too bad. Their play calling is suspect. Fields is starting to look suspect. The Texans have been solid. They just need to score more. I like their skill position players better. Roquan Smith looks like he might be out. We all know that's their best defensive player. Some might even say he might be their best player on the team entirely. He's not listed as out. He's listed as questionable, but again, he hasn't practiced all week, and it's a hip. We'll see. I just don't trust the Bears, so that's who I'm picking here. Is the Texans plus the points. Last one, I took the Lions plus the points. Might be kind of a pick that everybody's doing, to be honest, because I know the Lions were so good against the spread last year. Remember hearing that all the time. And they are always close in their games. So that said, that's one of the reasons I took them. And they're going against the Vikings. The Vikings look bad. I expect the Vikings to play better, but it's a division game too. So when you kind of put all that together, that's what kind of division games generally are closer. It's hard to blow out a team that you see twice a year, every year. So does it happen? Yes, but that's just kind of what I'm looking at. Aiden Hutchinson, TJ Hawkinson, and DeAndre Smith are banged up. I am worried about this, but they practice. They were limited. That's good to hear that they at least practiced. They're all listed as questionable. Eric Kendricks is questionable. Harrison Smith is out, and Andrew Booth is out. Taking all those things into consideration, and I'm still going Lions plus points. So those are my bets. I have a few other ones in the fire too because I just learned about teasers, and now that I know how to do them, I'm going to do them more often. Anyway, again, I'm an amateur gambler here. Disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer. I am not a professional. I'm still learning. I just literally said I learned teasers, so don't take my words for gospel. But this is just really fun to try and mess around with. Uh, One side note, and then I will end it for real. Did anyone else lose a ton of money? Not a ton, but lose good money on the Browns last night? I'm still salty. That was that touchdown for no reason. We Steelers made me very upset, but the Browns getting the touchdown. It's just it was just so appropriate, right? Browns had to get me back for the Jets, getting that W, but I guess I'll take it every time. I wore my Jets Breece Hall jersey again because I am definitely a creature of habit when it comes off a win. So I'm gonna wear this jersey until we hopefully never lose. I'll just keep wearing it on these post game shows and on game day. So good luck to our Jets. I have a Knicks video coming soon, guys. Probably tomorrow, or in other words, Saturday. I'll have it at some point. So be on the lookout for that. Thanks again, guys, for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share a friend, tap a friend, tell them, hey, just subscribe, even if you don't want to watch. Just kidding. They should still watch anyway. But anyway, let's go Jets. Thanks for watching, guys. See you later.